Good evening, everyone, and welcome to ANUGOONJ, a week-long celebration to mark our freedom and independence through a joyful expression of movement and melody. Today is the fourth concert in a series of concerts by young upcoming artists who also happen to be alumni of the Vidyalaya. Freedom is nothing but a chance to be better. I cannot think of a more apt description for our alumni. Taking with them the values of the Vidyalaya and creating better versions of themselves, soaring high and reaching for the skies. It gives me great pleasure to welcome two immensely talented performers, Mrinalini and Ananya. Mrinalini is from the batch of 2011 and Ananya is 1 year senior to her from the batch of 2010. We are really very happy to have you both with us today on this very, very special occasion. Not too long ago, we, your teachers, remember two young girls very eager to perform on stage in the auditorium or help their classmates during CAs and musical afternoons. And now here you are on the digital stage, performing for us once again as professional, accomplished artists. We have all been waiting very eagerly for this concert. But before we begin, the audience, I'm sure, is keen to know how your journey has been these past few years. So let me start by giving a brief introduction, and then Mrinalini and Ananya, I request you to add to it. Mrinalini is the disciple of the renowned Kathak Guru, Padma Shri Shobna Narayan. She has been learning dance from the age of 6 and is now a professional dancer who has performed at various events in India and abroad, notably the Konark Dance Festival, Kurukshetra and Vrindavan festivals, the Delhi International Film Festival, the Ganges Danube Festival in Budapest, and many other performances in Europe and across the United States. She's also performed for Doordarshan, has been recorded for the archives of the Sangeet Natak Academy, and is a recipient of the prestigious Young Artist Scholarship awarded by the Sahitya Kala Parishad. Ananya has trained in multiple music idioms, and her performances include a broad repertoire of ghazals, nirgun bhajans, folk songs, and classical renditions. She sings poetry of Faiz, Ghalib, Bahadur Shah Zafar, Amir Khusro, among others, and she has a keen interest in secular musical traditions. An Urdu Academy awardee, she has co-created various programs, conducted workshops, and as part of the Gandharva choir, performed across the country and abroad. Throughout this creative journey, Mrinalini and Ananya, I noticed you've excelled in academics too, and you have very successful careers. Actually, it doesn't come as a surprise to your teachers, because I remember both of you as very hard-working, sincere, bright students. We never had trouble with both of you. That much I remember. So do tell us a little more about what you did after school, your education, your professional growth, and how you have managed to balance both your art as well as your careers. Maybe we can start with you, Ananya, and then Mrinalini.
So, ma'am, thank you for having us, and this is such a lovely platform. Totally our honor to be here. I graduated in 2010 from the Vidyalaya, and by that time I had also completed my Visharad in Hindustani classical vocals. So it was a new starting. I mean, जितना 12th के लिए पढ़ाई होती है और विशारद के लिए पढ़ाई होती है, वो पढ़ाई as such तभी खत्म हुआ. And then I joined economic honors at Hindu College, where I was part of various societies, around 6 or 7 societies. There was theatre, there was music, there was the debating society, Earthlings, and various societies. And I think there was more learning outside the class, definitely, than inside at the Delhi University. After that, I went on to pursue my master's at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai in media and cultural studies. This was also the time that I had gotten into Google. and I had to take that call between a job right after bachelor's or taking up further education. And it was actually a matter of, it wasn't even a matter of heart. I just did Inky Pinky Ponky because that's how I chose humanities over science. That's how I chose economics over sociology, and that's how the decisions were. This was also the time that I started learning under Neela Bhagwatji, who's a renowned Gwalior Gharana vocalist. After after studying at the Tata Institute of Social Science, I joined them as a program manager and started making documentaries and getting engaged with a lot of projects, doing research, engaging with government, sometimes from inside, sometimes from outside, and various stakeholders. So I've been in the development field for the last 6, 7 years now, and that's where I am singing my heart out for all of you today with all the learnings that I've had at all these institutions.
Wow, wow. And what about you, Mrinalini?
So, ma'am, it's been similar. I hope I'm audible to everyone. I
Mrinalini, can you just either increase come closer to your mic or just talk a little
Yes,
louder?
I will be trying to be louder. So I finished school. After school, I went on to study statistics. I did my bachelor's and my master's. I went to the Lady Shri Ram College for Women. And after that, straight from campus, I went into the mainstream employment. Right now I work as an analyst, a data analyst with one of the leading firms in Gurgaon. I do insurance analytics for them. But that's the not so fun part. The fun part is that I started dancing, ma'am. Like you said, I started dancing when I was 6 formally, and I have been dancing since. And through everything that I went through with the educational trajectory, this is something that remained constant with me throughout.
Yes.
So I have been professionally dancing for about 10 years now, almost 10 years, and I have tried to manage doing both, and I think that I have fairly succeeded in doing both because it's not that I it was just that I like doing both the things very much, and I think that's something that I learned from school, and I have Siddharth Patel to thank for that. That at no point were we asked to choose any one thing that we were either good at or would be good at. So I
Right.
think that academics and and I love my subject, so I studied statistics and then numbers and dancing and everything. It just for me it comes together, and I've never felt the need to pick one over the other, and thankfully it stayed like that. So that's what I've been doing. And interestingly, I think when Ananya was talking about that, I'd like to tell everyone this never really come out. So Ananya and I never really spoke about each other's cultural journeys ever in school. I think in school we barely interacted, and then after school we kept bumping into each other at Habitat Center and all of these places because we'd both be performing for something or the other, and we'd be like, oh, okay, so SPV, and we do this, and then we'd say hi. And it's so strange that having met each other so many times, the time we came together and did something together creatively was only in the lockdown, was only after all of these years. And but I'm really glad that the school's given us this platform to all the teachers, that I have the opportunity. Ever since I've been dancing professionally, I've always wanted to come back to school for this, and something or the other would keep happening. And I'm just really glad that I'm coming back to school for this right
And
now. It's like this. It's lovely.
and we are really glad that both of you have come together because now we have this wonderful opportunity to listen to both of you and see your performance, Mrinalini. Now, Ananya, you're part of a band called Robusta Indica, right?
Yes,
If
ma'am.
correct me if I'm wrong, Robusta is a variety of a coffee seed. I
Absolutely.
mean,
Wow, yes.
at the moment I heard the name, I imagined something warm, something earthy, something full of aroma. So tell us about this band. How did this come about? And tell us something about this band of yours
You
and how
got
you
it
first
right.
come up. Yeah,
You,
tell
you
me.
you just got the essence of it, ma'am. So I mean, everyone has different voices, and mine is an earthy, a very deep voice also, and all the members of the band, we used to bond over coffee. So was the backbone, and Indica, of course, Indian. So my mother, one day we were just talking, and she said, you guys are all Robusta Indicans, and you're always drinking coffee and black coffee at that, and you're creating these sounds from the soil, and doing all folk music. So it's a Bombay-based band at the moment, and we've performed in the Raipur Literature Festival and in a lot of across Bombay, and perhaps next year we'll be coming out with an album as well. So we're looking at a lot of traditional compositions and compositions by secular poets of India, and trying to also not westernize it, but make it accessible to people in a manner that, and also contextualize it. Because I mean, these
Right.
are all eternal compositions, and the meanings are also eternal. So that's what we have been doing.
I'd love to
And we're
love to
very
see a
new. We're just 1 year old.
I'd love to see a performance by your band and कभी स्कूल में भी आना हाँ एक बार.
Done. Definitely. Definitely. We'd
All
love
right.
to.
Mrinalini, I've been watching your performances on YouTube, huh? And the most recent one was the interplay between Radha and Krishna as two aspects of divinity, and the other one was the one that relives the journey of India's freedom. Two outstanding, beautiful performances. Your style of interpretive dance is so unique. So do tell us how your dance has evolved over the years. After all, you started as a classical Kathak dancer, but you still, I mean, it's the core of your dance is Kathak. But it's evolved and you've really innovated. So just tell us about your improvisations, your experiments in dance.
Yes, I'm so glad you asked me. So you're right. I started off. I'm still a classical dancer, and in everything, all the interpretive choreographies that I've done, the classicality is still preserved in everything that I've done. But it's actually it was an internal journey that happened, and it started to happen as I grew older, and I was dancing a lot more. And I love doing the mainstream pieces that we would do for the performances, but I could gauge with the audience that there was the need for getting something more relevant, more contemporary in terms of the thought, and also things that would ultimately serve a purpose. Because so far, and I may be wrong, but largely I've seen people associate classical performing arts with just aesthetics, and even the literature that's used as the backbone for our performances would be either mythology or something that's far removed from where we are at the present. So I wanted it to be something more than just aesthetics. And thankfully, the lockdown gave me this opportunity, which I didn't realize at the time. But I started to shoot at home and interact with poetry, with songs, with other things. And the idea was to be able to play around, and when I didn't have the pressure to be on a traditional stage, be it either Habitat or Kamani, where the audience expects something of you in a traditional sense. I
Yes.
think once that lifted, I realized that I didn't have to be a classical dancer or a Kathak dancer to be able to play more with thoughts and ideas. So then it just came into motion, and there were people who were talking about burning things that were happening around, and it didn't make sense for me. Dancing is something that, like I said, it's remained constant in my life, and it's something that comes to me very naturally. So if there are so many factors, there's so many stimuli around me, it didn't make sense for me to not have them interact with something that's at my core. So that's when all of this started coming about. And once it was well received, I realized that I could take it forward. And the recent one, the Freedom Struggle one, ma'am, that I sent you, I love history. I always have. And every day on Independence Day, when people are dancing or singing, you're singing the national song, etc. I just thought maybe like this could be a history lesson packaged into a dance performance, and then everyone would see that it wouldn't be painted in any one color. It would just be so pure and so factual that I'm glad that I was able to do that.
Yeah, I loved your performances. It's so interesting to see the innovations that young artists like you are bringing into their work. In fact, your desire to learn and explore is really, really commendable. And it's also wonderful to see both of you doing so well, and we really, really are proud of you. Chaliye, अब हम इस कॉन्सर्ट का शुभारंभ करते हैं. Take us through your first performance and tell us what you planned for us.
Okay. So the first one, both Ananya and I are doing together, and
Okay, right.
collaboration to a sense on an online medium. I'm really excited for this. Primarily
That's really wonderful. Yeah.
what she's singing, so we were trying to bring something together from our homes and our screens collectively onto yours. Ananya, is there anything you would like to add?
Can't wait. Can't wait. Yeah. The stage is all yours. It sounds absolutely interesting.
To start today's performance with Bawra Man Dekhne Chala Ek Sapna. It's for all, it's for the Patelian family, for all of us to dream free. Bawra Man देखने चला एक सपना बावरे से मन की देखो बावरी है बातें बावरी सी धड़कने हैं बावरी है सांसें बावरा मन देखने चला एक सपना बावरा मन देखने चला एक सपना बावरे से मन की देखो बावरी है बातें बावरी सी धड़कने है बावरी है सांसें बावरी सी करवटों से निंदिया दूर भागे बावरे से नैन तारे बावरे झरों को से बावरे नजारों को तकना बावरा मन देखने चला एक सपना बावरे से इस जहां में बावरा एक साथ हो इस सयानी भीड़ में बस हाथों में तेरा हाथ हो बावरी सी धुन हो कोई बावरा एक राग हो बावरी सी धुन हो कोई बावरा एक राग हो बावरे से चाहे बावरे तरानों के बावरे से बोर पे थिरकना बावरा मन देखने चला एक सपना बावरा हो अंधेरा बावरी खामोशियां थर थराती लोह मत्था बावरी मदहोशियां बावरा एक घूंघटा चाहे हौले हौले बिन बताए बावरा एक घूंघटा चाहे हौले हौले बिन बताए बावरे से मुखड़े से सरकना बावरा मन देखने चला एक सपना बावरा मन देखने चला एक सपना बावरा मन देखने चला एक सपना
Thank you, Ananya.
Melodious. So,
It was
so
so
beautiful.
beautiful, Mrinalini. I felt like
Now you whetted our appetite for more, all right? And we can't wait to see what you have for us next. But before that, I'd like to ask you one question. And I'm asking you this question because this is a challenge that many children face when they're learning classical music and dance. When you were growing up, did you ever feel peer pressure? Did you, I mean, that what you were doing was not a cool thing to do? And if so, how did you handle it? Because I see this all the time with children, they hesitate to showcase their music and dance if they're learning classical dance and music. It's far easier for them to showcase if they're learning, say, Western music or Western dance. But when it comes to classical music, there is a hesitation. So, did you ever feel the peer pressure?
Ananya,
Let's begin with you,
ma'am, on
Ananya.
the contrary, I feel that on the contrary, I feel that because of the education we've had at Vidyalaya, the environment we've had, that we always held it as a badge of honor that we are, classical learners or vocalists or dancers or engaging with any kind of art form for that matter, classical or otherwise. And the way we've grown up, or I have grown up and looked at the art and given it, because I've gotten so much love from it, I have given it given love back to it also. And at no point have I ever felt that कि ये cool नहीं है. मुझे तो उल्टा लगता है कि it is so cool that everyone should have a taste of it. Everyone must. I mean, not everyone can perhaps learn it, but everyone be exposed to it, be around it. So it's just the other way around. It's so cool that I want to share it with everyone.
What
This
about you, Renali?
Yeah, I think, ma'am, that I resonate with Ananya, but it would also be unfair to say that it was a smooth journey for me throughout, because there were times, and also because of the sheer amount of time and patience and dedication classical arts take. You don't see the benefits right away. You have to give it years and years of learning, and you don't know where it's headed. So after a while, of course, you reach a point, and that's where the enabling factors come in. That I think I was very fortunate to have institutions like SPV where something like this would be placed on a pedestal. So if you were a classical dancer, you would it would be something, even with your peers, it would be cool. I had friends who were encouraging me to come for recitals. A household where something like this, they constantly kept pushing me. But it's also absolutely true, ma'am, that if something like this, children are bound to get disillusioned. But I think that's why the enabling factors are so important, because uh, you can't always it doesn't always feel like a joy, right? But I think that would also be true for anything. A sports person who's had years of training put into his sport, or another person in any art or craft having put many number of years to something, it only comes to fruition after that. Right now Ananya and I are talking, but we know that we've had many long tiring years of training put into this to have come to a point where it appears cool and to talk about it, and even throughout the journey. But I think that the environment really plays a role, and I would honestly I did face those things, but then there were people around me who kept reminding me to look at the bigger picture, and I think that's what school always did for us. It always told us to look at the bigger picture. So I think we've just been I've been very fortunate that way, that I didn't.
Yes. School, yes, I agree with you completely. The school gave you that space and that encouragement to showcase your talent and not feel embarrassed about it. It did. And I completely agree with you on that. Like after having seen so many young people, young artists from the Vidyalaya proudly pursuing classical music and dance, and along with it, improvising, innovating, learning Western music, doing so many other things, but also being proud of their roots and their culture. It's a wonderful thing to see in children as they grow up. And I'm really, really glad that you did not succumb to any pressure. You continued to pursue your passion and you did what you loved. And look where you are today because of that perseverance, right? And having gone through that experience, that journey that you've gone through, do you have any advice to give to our young people, our young, budding, very talented artists of the Vidyalaya? There's so many of them who are learning classical dance and music, but they also have a lot of apprehension. So, do you have any advice to give to these young children? Yeah, Mrinalini, would you like to give some advice?
I think the advice is only that with anything good that comes to us, it's not going to happen right away. And the apprehension that you have probably doesn't have as much to do with the craft that you're pursuing or the art form you're learning, but the fact that it takes a lot of effort. But trust me, having reached this point and having gone through the same journey that you have, and quite literally been to the same institution, studied in the same city, I can tell you that it will take time. And when it comes to that, you're going to not have the years to redo those years. So this is the time where you actually have to painstakingly do it. And it's the one thing, and this is something that I always stress about. Classical forms is the one thing that has stayed through the ages. When I speak about Kathak in particular, we have its traces back to the 3rd century BC. So there has to be some metal, there has to be some merit that a form in some way or the other has lived through the ages. So the apprehension or wanting to quit or not wanting to see to the end of it is something that I think comes, and it's natural that it comes, but just stay and get to this point and you're going to thank me. And there are so many tangible examples that I could quote right now where this has placed me on a better platform in terms of employment, in terms of college, in terms of people, the amount of exposure I've had, I've traveled the world, etc. But at the end of the day, that's not going to matter unless it makes you happy. So if it makes you happy, but it takes effort, I think that stay. And I think that's the only advice I give, because my trajectory has been very similar to anybody who goes to Vidyalaya.
Ananya, what do you have to say? What advice do you have to give?
Okay. Ma'am Mrinalini has she's got it all. I mean, the regularity is what it is. The minute you're regular with something and you're committing to it completely, and you have to just keep at it. I mean, I remember when we were in class first or nursery, the only one thing, there was no homework, there were no books. The only one thing we were told was be at particular period of time. And I remember
Uh, Ananya, Ananya, are you still there with us?
I think
Yeah.
am I audible?
Yeah, now you are. Now you are.
Back.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to add something that the school really gave me confidence about is, and I always look back at this, when the musical afternoon would happen and we would be in a complete, like, it would be so hard to do anything because certain kinds of music was something that wasn't allowed. And, it would just be so easy for us to take the easy route and, do something like
Yes.
something.
Always a point of conflict.
And it used to be such a huge, it used to be such a point of contention. I remember personally stress me out so much, but those are the little things that really shape you. And then they tell you, don't look for the easy way out, because right now people are talking about concepts like find alternate music, find homegrown artists, find things around you, etc. But these are some things that we've learned on our fingertips without having realized it way back in school. So I think I just wanted to fill that in while Ananya revives her connection. I don't know if she's here yet.
Yeah. Ananya, do you want to add anything?
Yeah. Am I? Yeah. I mean, regularity being one, and if you stick with anything for a matter of time, and you know later on you find the interconnectedness between all of these things, the joy you get out of it, that all the students were listening and you know they would do anything meaningful in the world,
We seem to have lost you again,
in
Ananya.
so
We'll get back to this again, but the next performance is by Ananya, so I'm just waiting for her to get back her connection. Uh, it's very good advice that both of you are giving to the kids, and I hope they take this advice, listen to you carefully, take this advice seriously, get inspired by both of you, and pursue their dance and music with dedication and seriousness. I hope they do that. Uh, Now let's move on to the next performance. And since, oh, Ananya, you're back. So will you be able to do your performance now? Are you there, Ananya? Or we can begin with Mrinalini if Ananya's connection is poor. Mrinalini, maybe we can start with your performance and then go on to Ananya's performance, maybe.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay, because we seem to have lost her.
Alright. Um, I can start certainly. Do you want me to start, ma'am? Should I go ahead?
Shall we give her just a second? She
Yeah,
seems to be.
I think give it a second, and
Yeah.
I think she's back.
so I think I'm back now.
Ananya, are you back?
I think I'm back now for good. Yes,
Wonderful,
ma'am.
wonderful. Okay, so shall we have your next performance? It's going to be a solo by you, I believe. And what are you going to sing for us?
I'll sing a fair song. Since it's independent.
Ananya? I, she's gone off again. Oh, there she is. Hanji Ananya. Without much delay, let's start. Uh,
Am I audible?
yeah,
बोल के लब आजाद है तेरे बोल के लब आजाद है तेरे बोल जुबान अब तक तेरी है तेरा सुतवा जिस्म है तेरा बोल के जा अब तक तेरी है देख के आहंगर की दुकान में तुंद है शोले सुर्ख है आहन खुलने लगे उफलों के दहाने फैला हर एक जंजीर का दामन बोल के लब आजाद है तेरे बोल जुबान अब तक तेरी है। बोलिए थोड़ा, वक्त बहुत है, जिस्म जुबान की मौत से पहले। बोलिए थोड़ा, वक्त बहुत है, जिस्म जुबान की मौत पहले। बोल के सच जिंदा है अब तक, बोल जो कुछ कहना है कह ले, बोल के लब आजाद है तेरे, बोल जुबान अब तक तेरी है। बोल के लब आजाद है तेरे।
Wow. Wow, Ananya. In fact, I can see in the comment section, just people are just wowed by it. And Kajal Ram has said something. She says, excellent. What a song you've chosen, Ananya. One of my favorites. In
Thank
fact,
you, Kajal Ram. You're so lovely.
in, in fact, I'm so spellbound by your singing that it's taking me a couple of minutes, a few seconds to gather my thoughts. So lovely, so lovely. Mrinalini, before we begin your performance, I want to ask you something
Yes.
about that video that went viral on social media during lockdown. For those who missed
Yes.
that video, Mrinalini did an interpretive dance performance set to a poem narrated by Kuldeep Mishra. It was a performance symbolizing hope in the midst of the ongoing coronavirus crisis, and it struck a chord with thousands of people. So, do tell us, Mrinalini, what made you think of doing that performance?
Ma'am, it's very interesting. I'm glad you asked me this question. So, before that video, I shot it and I put it out. I was somebody who never really believed in the digital medium. So, I never put out my dance videos or anything that I did. I would just, on principle, never share anything because I thought the essence of watching a performance would always only be captured in a live performance. But we were in the middle of lockdown and performances weren't happening. I was still dancing at home, but certainly there wasn't any recital that was happening. And this was a poem that I received on WhatsApp. Actually, my mother did. And WhatsApp forwards were quite the rage, like they've always been. And she said that she heard this poetry and she said, it's so nice and why don't you do something on it? And I said, yeah, it's quite lovely. Let me just do something on it. And in my apartment in the corridor outside, I did it and it was quite impromptu. I didn't have any fancy camera equipment. I was already dressed in a sari because it was a Navratri or something was going on. I can't remember now. And I shot it and it came out well. So then I said, I'll just put it up on Instagram. My friends are going to see. How does it matter? So I just uploaded it on Instagram on a whim. And the idea wasn't to reach anybody at all. And then I went to bed. This happened in the evening. And in the morning, I woke up to my phone having exploded. And it was quite surreal. It was overwhelming. Humbling. I had publications calling me. I had people calling me. The video had suddenly gotten picked up by all of these media houses and by the government portals. And it just, and the beauty of it is that I didn't even think about it. And I didn't think about having to create something. And it's only since then that I'm consciously thinking about what can I do that would reach people. And for that one, I didn't at all. So I think it was just a lucky stroke. It was just a streak of luck that happened. And it just, yeah, it quite literally went viral. I witnessed what that was like, and I'm so glad that it classical performance that went viral. Usually, it's something that people say requires your patience, but the timing was right. Everybody was home. The poem's quite hopeful. It was written by Kuldeep Mishra, so I think everything sort of fell into place, and I just got very lucky.
I have to tell you that I forwarded that link to virtually everyone I know. And 2 days back, I got a message from a friend whom I had forwarded that link, I think in the month of April. This was in the month of April. And
Yes.
she revisited that performance and she was so impressed that she wanted to know all about this graceful and talented dancer. And I promptly forwarded the other videos that I had of you to her. But I have to tell you, during lockdown time, which is a period of isolation, there are a lot of fears, apprehensions, anxiety. It lifted my spirits, and I want to thank you for that, because I think it lifted the spirits of a whole lot of people. And see, this period in our lives has been tough for each one of us. It's a time that we all need to sort of. It's not a very great phase in our lives, but we have to move on. And Ananya, how has music helped you to cope with this current crisis of social distancing, isolation, and you can't really perform in spaces where you're used to performing? How has music helped you? Tell me.
Ma'am, all this while I was in Bombay and I live alone. So when I say I only had music, I literally only had music with me and I had my tanpura with me, which kept me sane. And of course, the performance stage has changed the way you interact and the way the audience interacts with you has changed. Usually, for a kalakar, the only validation is the wah wah that you get during. And आजकल Instagram पे hearts मिलने लग गए. So I mean, it's a very drastic change in the way you also interact with technology. मतलब मुझे just looking at a phone and speaking to it, कोई तीसरा इंसान देखेगा सोचेगा पागल लोग हैं. But I think it's become such a it's become a space of comfort for many of the artists to find energies online, to collaborate with people online. It's also made people look at their own art. So for me, in the last 3 4 5 months, I have re-looked at all the poets that I had been singing. It's like a renewed relationship. I have new meanings in the same songs that I've been singing as a child. I mean, Swayam Vidhata Hoye Manav, the song we've grown up with also. I mean, with newer meaning it's emerging. So that's what music and the lockdown has done to me.
I'm so glad to know that music and dance has given such strength and so much of positivity to both of you. It's a wonderful thing. And talking of positivity, I'm sure Mrinalini, your next performance is going to be full of positive energy. I'm sure of it. So, what are you going to perform for us?
Actually, I'm deviating from interpretive choreography for this one because I mean that's already out on the internet and everybody watches that. I wanted to do something more traditional right now, and
Fair enough. Wonderful.
I'm doing an excerpt from the Ramayana, and I also want to talk about why I'm doing this. Usually classical arts and performances, etc., are associated with only picking up text literature that comes from the same sources over and over again. You have the Geet Govind done over and over again. While it's beautiful, this portrayal of the Ramayana I'm doing, I specifically chose it, and I wanted to talk about it with the students right now because we're at a time where our scriptures or the emotion behind it might be so easily understood. This is the Ramayana. I'm trying to capture the journey of the story, but from Sita's point of view. So we know that Tulsidasa's Ramayana is written, it's the story of Ram, and it's just that. But I felt, and when I revisited that for my choreography, I felt that the woman was pivotal to the story. She's actually the one who leads the story. But the storytelling is never done from her point of view. So it's Ram's story and Sita and Ravan and Lakshman are characters. But in the portrayal that I'm doing, it's Sita's story and everybody else are characters around her.
Okay.
That's the first thing.
Wonderful.
And, second thing is that, from when we're looking at Valmiki's Ramayana and Tulsidas' Ramayana also, the way the text has changed and now with the transition that happened. It's also something that I think Valmiki's Ramayana captures um, all of what happened, but Tulsidas' Ramayana ends before Sita's own trials and tribulations begin. So the last part is left. So I just think that from a, I don't want to say just a feminist point of view, but just an inclusive point of view. I've been doing this choreography, and I also wanted to bring it to school because I think this is one of the things we were taught, not to be experimental just for the sake of it, but this is Ramayana is a beautiful story. Without adding any color to it, it's an epic. It has all the emotions. It has all the navrasas. There's Rodra and there's Karuna and there's all the emotions are captured. So it's a beautiful story that everybody knows about. But in my portrayal, it's Sita's telling of the story. So it's actually a very short version because I don't want, it's actually a full dance drama. So I'm going to shrink it and I took this music of the internet that I'm going to perform to. But I will take it through two very short excerpts where the Swayamvar happens, but we don't know if Sita's will is taken into consideration. Ram comes and he picks her and she chooses him. But Sita doesn't know what she's getting into. And after that, they go for the Vanvas and she's abducted by Ravan. And then again, she's put in a different place. So it's just basically trying to revisit the story, but through her. So I hope that makes sense. So I'll just go ahead and play that. Ma'am, also, you're going to have to tell me if you can hear the music.
Yes, I can. Yeah, play it again.
Yeah, I'll just if you can hear it, then please.
I can.
That was very short, and that's all I'm going to do. But I essentially wanted to show a little bit of storytelling, and that was all of the saga in just a couple of minutes, so it doesn't do justice to it. But I wanted all the students to see. We've been seeing so much of interpretive and contemporary dancing. What Abhinay and Kathak, what the truest form of storytelling looks like, where you're all the characters at the same time on stage. So there was this short excerpt from Sita being picked up as a bride, to being abducted, to the killing of Ravan, and then when she's finally questioned, so then she quietly walks away. So that was all packaged into a couple of minutes.
Ma'am, you're on mute. Teshi ma'am,
Yeah.
you'll have to unmute.
Yeah. Mrinalini, I was saying you excel in your craft, and the hours and hours of practice that has gone into it is so clearly visible. It was perfection. It was absolute perfection. Now let's switch gears. Let's switch gears and go on to something that I think is a mandatory question when you have ex-students as guest performers with us. And it's a very simple and straightforward question. What are your most treasured memories and moments of school life? We'll start with you, Ananya, and then we'll go on to Mrinalini.
It's so, but I mean, it's like a colorful movie for me since I'm into documentary filmmaking. You know, there are these flashes of moments. There is definitely the Shehtoot street and picking up and washing. Then, as in nursery, जब भैया पकड़ के भैया दीदी हाथ पकड़ के ले जाते थे. So just that touch, you know, of even of another child. So that's one memory. Then, of course, silent mornings with the wave. That's one. You have the CA classes, GTB, GTB. Gujarati, Tamil, Bengali, GTBU. I mean GTBU classes and fourth week food festival. There's just so much to pack in one. But definitely, I think the earthiness of the Vidyalaya is an essence that I carry. Like sometimes I just need to close my eyes and it's that essence that comes to me. So I think it's a mixture of everything, but with the essence of this earthiness and the greenery that Vidyalaya
What,
brings with it.
what are your memories, Mrinalini?
Sorry, ma'am, did you say my name? I think I didn't
Yes,
hear you.
I did.
Yeah, I really don't think that I can answer that question, because if I was to name one moment, I really don't think that I can. And if I did that, I wouldn't do justice. But I do remember right now, because we're talking about music and art and dancing. The last Independence Day performance, I was in the 12th grade, and the last Independence Day performance, when everybody sings Chandan Hai Mati in the end. And I wasn't a part of the school choir because I wasn't a singer. But I think my heart was very heavy, because it always is when you're going to pass out of school. And I'd requested Kajal ma'am, I said, do you think that I could stand on the side and sing? Because all these years have gone by and I've always sung humming it from the audience, but do you think I could do it? And she said, of course you can. And the last time ever that my batch performed Chandan and Mati, I was allowed to stand with the choir and I sang. And that really captures what all of school was for me. I don't remember one bad memory from school. Everything is so beautiful. Like Ananya said, it's a colorful movie. It's like an art. I've never lived that with an institution after SPB, and I don't think I ever will. But
Yeah.
I can't do justice to that question.
Yeah, school is special, isn't it? And there's actually one quality that all Patelians have, and that is we can improvise, we can adapt, and come up with something creative at the spur of the moment. So, so can we have something impromptu? Can we have something impromptu from both of you? Something perhaps to do with school? Because I noticed that in the previous concerts, in all the chats, there is always this demand ki school ka gana gao. So can we have something from you connected to
Yeah.
school in your own unique style? Ananya, shall we begin with you?
Sure, ma'am.
Are
This
we
is one of my favorites.
together? Are we? Ananya, do you want to sing first and then I can? Are you doing two songs? I don't know.
So I'll do one thing. I'll sing the first one, see if you feel something on it, and then the second one we'll do together. And then
I'll
you can
start.
sing a song as well. Because we would
Okay,
love to
so
hear Chandan and Marty from Mrinalini.
perfect.
है खाके हिंद तेरी अजमत में क्या गुमा है दरियाए फैज़े कुदरत तेरे लिए रवां है तेरी ज़बी से नूरे हुस्ने अज़ल आया है अल्लाह रिज़्क़ व ज़ीनत क्या आज़ेज़ुशां है खाके हिंद तेरी सारे जहां पे जब था वहशत का प्रसारी चश्मों चरागे आलम थी सर जमी हमारी. This is my Sardar Patel Vidyalay choir song. And Kajal auntie, if you're here, आप जब हारमोनियम पे सा ग प बजाते थे, so we would all get goosebumps because we knew what was coming. As a child, when I used to listen to all the Didi Bhaiyas sing, there was this sense. And then when you were on that side singing yourself, and being the carrier of a tradition, it was something. और अब जब भी बाहर मिलते हैं with any friends, we end up singing these school songs, all of them, लहरों से डरकर, चंदन है माटी, um, वो दिन है कितना दूर. All these songs are just not merely songs, they're, I think, feelings we're all carrying within ourselves. So thank you so much, all of you teachers, for keeping that tradition alive.
And I think
Um,
the students also, I mean, we left and we think we're
Absolutely.
but that just sort of keeps coming back. The tradition lives through each one of us. It's so beautiful. Right now, when I heard you singing Ananya, I had tears in my eyes again.
Oh, thank you. Let's sing your favorite song now, the one that you sang while
Yeah,
in your 12th
I
class.
dance to that. It doesn't do justice, but anyway. I also, since this is an impromptu collaboration, everybody who's watching, Ananya and I haven't rehearsed this at all. So until 10 minutes before the live, we didn't know what we were going to do. So I hope that it comes up.
चंदन है माटी मेरे देश की, चंदन है माटी मेरे देश की, माटी मेरे देश की, चंदन है माटी मेरे देश की, चंदन है माटी मेरे देश की, माटी मेरे देश की. नील गगन रे भारत पे ना तेरा, नील गगन रे गगन रे भारत पे ना तेरा, चंदन है माटी मेरे देश की, चंदन है माटी मेरे देश की, माटी मेरे देश की, चंदन है माटी मेरे देश की, चंदन है माटी मेरे देश की, माटी मेरे देश की. जिसमें लाड़ किया है माँ से, मैंने लाड़ किया है माँ से, मैंने लाड़ किया है माँ से. फूल है ये वो नोट के जिसमें लाड़ किया है माँ से, मैंने लाड़ किया है माँ से, मैंने लाड़ किया है माँ से. स्नेह का जिसके पार नहीं है, प्राण प्राण रहे हैं प्यासे, प्राण रहे हैं प्यासे. चंदन है माटी मेरे देश की, चंदन है माटी मेरे देश की, माटी मेरे देश की, चंदन है माटी मेरे देश की, चंदन है माटी मेरे देश की, माटी मेरे देश की, माटी मेरे देश की.
That was
That was
emotional
a
from.
Well, that was absolutely outstanding. In fact, you can never really go wrong with school songs because there is so much of emotion that is attached to school songs. You can never really go wrong with it. Finally, before we come to your grand finale, which you both have planned it out for us, I want to ask you your plans and dreams for the future. What are your plans? Mrinal.
Um, Ma'am, I can't really put it in concrete words because I don't have any long term plans because I just feel like when I make plans they don't work out. But the idea is the idea is to dancing is something that I'm definitely doing most seriously. It's pivotal to who I am. It's central to all my dreams and all my ideas. In the long run, I want to be able to create this space, when we're speaking of any form of expression, to be able to use that for as a means to an end and not just as something that's just for viewing pleasure. So that's the general idea. And in the long term, I hope that not just motivated by this lockdown, but I do hope that there is there's so much art in this country and in the people, and so much that we read about that's now dying, and people fighting for the classical space, or fighting for a stage. I think that in the end, or like before I die, I want to be able to create something that gives a voice and gives a stage to all the artists in the country. And I think that's somewhat encaptures what my general idea looks like for my future, but nothing tangible as of now. But I'm definitely going to keep dancing. Short-term goal is to be able to create content that helps people feel something, to have art in general act as a means to an end and not just something that's...
And what about you, Ananya?
Ma'am, mine is very simple. I just want to keep learning and keep that lens of learning on, and keep adding more and more lenses through which I can, make meaning of the things around me, and be as authentic as I can towards whatever I'm doing. So there is documentary film. And the thing is that, if I don't do any one of these, I start feeling incomplete. So I have to keep doing the many things that I'm at the moment doing and add more to it. That's the only plan.
Fantastic. I wish you both all the best in your future endeavors. I hope all your dreams come true. So let's have your last grand finale, your last performance for us today, which is again, I think, a collaborative piece. You planned it together, right? So let's have that. Just wait.
I'll just do a quick sound check. Is the audio coming? Yeah? Okay. Let's. Ni re ga ma pa re ga re ni re sa. छाप तिलक सब छीनी रे उसने नाम लाई के, छाप तिलक सब छीनी रे उसने नाम लाई के, नैना मिलाई के उसने नाम लाई के, नैना मिलाई के उसने नाम लाई के, बात अगम कह दी मेरे मुँह से नैना मिलाई के, छाप तिलक सब छीनी रे मुँह से नैना मिलाई के, प्रेमवती का मधुआ पिलाई के, प्रेमवती का मतवा पिलाई के, मतवारी करली रे नैना मिलाई के, छाप तिलक सब छीनी रे मुँह से नैना, हाँ मुँह से नैना मिलाई के, गोरी गोरी भैया हरी हरी चूड़िया, हरी हरी चूड़िया, गोरी गोरी भैया हरी हरी चूड़िया, भैया पकड़ धरनी रे मुँह से नैना मिलाई के, मोहे सुहागन की रे मुँह से नैना, हाँ मुँह से नैना मिलाई के, बल बल जाऊं मैं तोरे रंग रे जवा, तोरे रंग, हाँ तोरे रंग रंग रे जवा बल बल जाऊं मैं तोरे रंग रे जवा अपनी रंग की मेरे मुझसे नाम लइके छाप तिलक सब छीनी रे मुझसे नाम लइके खुसरोन जाम के हाँ खुसरोन जाम के हाँ खुसरोन जाम के बल बल गए हैं बला बल गए हैं खुसरोन जाम के बल बल गए हैं वो है सुहागन की मुझसे नाम लइके मुझसे नाम लइके मुझसे नाम लइके छाप तिलक सब छीनी रे मुझसे नाम लइके बात अगम कह दी रे मुझसे नाम लइके छाप तिलक हाँ छाप तिलक सब छीनी रे मुझसे नाम लइके
Amazing. What a wonderful song selection. Ananya, Mrinalini, I don't think anyone here wants this concert to really end. You get us knowing how talented and creative both of you are. We were expecting an enthralling performance, and really, it's been an absolutely magical evening. And thank you, both of you, for really, uh, really performing for us in such a beautiful song selection and such beautifully performed dance pieces. Well, I hope, but all good things have to come to an end, I guess. So I hope that this is not an end in terms of seeing you again. I hope when all this is over, we will see you in school, on the school stage, in the auditorium, for us to enjoy you once more. Yes, Mrinalini, you wanted to say something.
Sorry to interrupt you. No, I just wanted to say that I've been performing for a long time, but I think one of the biggest validations and satisfaction comes from performing for people who really shaped you to who you are. And I've had that today. So this is extremely fulfilling for me, and I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to do this.
Thank you both of you once again. But you're not going anywhere right now, because I'm going to invite Angel, who will take a few audience questions. That chat is going like it's off the charts. There are so many comments, so many of them are classmates of yours, teachers, who are blown away by your performance, both of you. So, Angel, I'm sure you can pick up questions very easily from the chat. There's so many questions that people are asking. So please, I hand it over to Angel now, after which she can conclude the program.
What a
Yes.
blissful evening this has been. I'm still getting goosebumps. So you'll be really happy to know that some of your batchmates have also joined us and have shared great comments about how lovely and graceful your performances were. The purity of Ananya Didi's soothing voice beautifully matched with your dance, Mrinalini Didi. Grace, thy name is Mrinalini. What a melodious voice. Everyone here, your teachers, your batchmates, and all the children seem to be spellbound by your performances and your humility. So, the first question that has actually been asked by almost everyone is what were your houses?
I was Pragati.
I was Neeti.
Ananya,
I'm Neeti House.
go Neeti, go Prakriti. And by the way, from Shakti.
Oh, Pragati.
Acha. But Mrinalini is wearing both Neeti and Shakti today.
Oh no.
Yay!
So, next question from Nalini Didi. Apart from Kathak, which other classical dance form you like the most?
Apart from Kathak, if I wasn't a Kathak dancer, I'd definitely be an Odissi dancer. I've seen Madhuri
Okay.
Mukherjee perform. Definitely, it's too beautiful. So Odyssey would be my pick.
Lovely. So, Ananya Didi, your genre of music is very indigenous, like confined to folk songs, classical music, and ghazals. So, do you feel intimidated by the new gen hip hop culture, the upbeat music?
Intimidated, perhaps not. I feel inspired, in fact, because at the at the base of it all, it is communication, it is storytelling that matters. So, I mean, these are all zariyas, and people find. I mean, language also. I feel it's almost limiting. Language is limiting. There's so much more in an art form that expresses. So, definitely not
Wow.
intimidating. I get inspired by it.
We all get inspired by your bravery and your performances.
अरे वाह.
So, the next question from Nalini Didi. You do have a day job as a data analyst. So, how do you manage all the Kathak practices? Because time management is an issue faced by all of us.
It's honestly, it is an issue faced by me as well. I don't know how I manage it, but I think that being at a point where I am an autonomous dancer, I'm doing more solo performances. I have the choice to schedule my own rehearsals, etc. So that's a plus point. I probably would not have been able to do this if I wasn't a professional soloist by now. And also, I think this is what I've always said, and I've learned also, if you want, you will always find time. So that's the thing. If you want to find time, you'll always find time. And I thankfully did want to find time for both. So yes,
Okay.
I get less sleep though. I don't sleep a lot. It's not very
So, how did your parents react when you told them you wanted to pursue a vocational art?
good. Is that for me?
Both of you.
And
You want to go first? I mean, my parents were only too excited because they've always seen me perform on the stage. Since I was a child, I started learning when I was 4. And performance, without even understanding that it's a performance, so to say, I've been performing. So they were just not just supportive; they were totally part of the process. I feel, and they've been part of my journey, and they were very excited.
Wow.
And for me, I think my parents, in fact, have pushed me a lot. My mother's also a Kathak dancer, so for me, it wasn't really a choice. I was kind of, I always tell them that I was almost forced to be a dancer. So at times when I wanted to quit, and this is again one of the enabling factors, they told me that I have to keep going. So very fortunate that way.
Okay. So, have you ever made mistakes in your live performances? And if yes, then how did you gain the confidence of keep going?
Yeah, so many times. But I mean, that's the thing about a live performance. It can't be like a well-edited video. There has to be that the charm is to have to do so many things impromptu and pick it up back on stage. How did I gain the confidence? I think that's one of those other things that come with your general shaping up of an individual. It's not just something that comes instantly, but with years of practice and years of being on stage. And I was also in SPV, especially, I was always on stage for public speaking. So I think that's really helped me as a performer now, even if I'm not doing public speaking but dancing. Um, One of the other things that school really shaped me as an individual. So, and I think, I mean, when you mess up, you mess up. What are you going to do?
We hope that we learn from it. What about you, Ananya Didi?
I think that's the beauty of a live performance. I mean, you can listen to one song being played, Aaj Jaane Ki Zid Na Karo, we can listen to a Cook Studio version, but a Faida Khanum singing live for you is going to be her singing live. And what the mistake, I mean, we are all humans, and that comes with the art form also. I mean, nothing is perfect at the end of the day. It is our जो त्रुटियां जिसे बोलते हैं, so it's just कि अगली बार कुछ नया गलती करें, पुराना ना करें. So we all, I mean, there are days in which you will make the same mistake while knowing it's a mistake. So I mean, I'm just trying to learn that that's something I have to get over and can make newer mistakes. With confidence, I feel if you keep at something, it will come to you. The I think it's just that, yeah, being on the stage, create newer areas in which you can make mistakes. Go for it. Don't be afraid of mistakes.
Thank you so much. Actually, that's all for the questions, but we have some lovely comments shared by your teachers, your batchmates, and everybody here who was spellbound by your performance. So, I would like to end the program by saying that I felt a thrill passing through the air with the notes of your song and the rhythm of your gurus. By weaving a story and narrating its every emotion through a repertoire of musical renditions, you both allow us to participate in your storytelling, not just as a viewer or a listener, but as a thinker who, as if, has been given the opportunity to accept your interpretation while formulating one of his own. With a spring to your feet and an aesthetic grace on your face, Mrinalini Didi, you had caught us yet again in your mesmerizing dancing spell. We feel pride in saying that you are a part of the Patelian family. Ananya Didi, with the liveliness and joy on your face as you sang and delved into the tunes, you filled us with hope and happiness. We absolutely agree with your belief that music is indeed a way of expressing oneself and connecting within. And today we felt that you had let us connect with yourself too. And not to forget, your ever enthralling voice and laughter are being missed by your very own Vidyalaya. We commend you both for choosing a path of creativity. By choosing to present your skills in art in a domain that is open to both criticism and appreciation, you've inspired us to be brave, to not just stand at the end of the pool, but jump and follow what we believe, not worrying about making it to the other end. It was indeed a pleasure to have you both with us today. As we come to the end of the program, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Principal Ma'am, all the teachers and the non teaching staff, our tech team, and our audience for making this event a success.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrinalini. Thank you, Ananya. And thanks to the audience for this being part of this wonderful, wonderful evening.
Thank
With
you,
that, we
ma'am.
come to the end of the
Thank you for
broadcast.
having us. It feels like having been with family.
Thank you so
We're
much.
repeating your presence in the Vidyalaya.
True.